It follows, I think, we talked about this as a band and no one can really remember who wrote the music, but that song was really, lyrically at least, was about this idea of, in my mind, becoming a punk and sort of dropping out of society. The idea was that you removed yourself from the kind of mainstream tendencies that were so discouraging, the thing, behaviors and tendencies. But what we found was that the mainstream societies, especially media's, attempt to ridicule and dismiss punk, they would put out all these absurd and kind of contemptuous images of punk. They would have all these characters that were nihilistic or self-destructive or insane, which had caused two problems for us. One problem was that it meant that people outside the punk scene thought that we were nihilistic or self-destructive or insane and then would treat us that way. But more problematic is that people who were nihilistic or self-destructive or insane thought they were punks and would start coming to shows. So suddenly we had this sort of really weird situation where the punk shows were suddenly becoming more and more popular, and they were being filled by a lot of people who actually were kind of mainstream people. The kind of stuff that we thought we were getting away from actually just came with us. And now, I'm 61 now, and I think I can look at it a little bit differently. I wrote those lyrics when I would have been almost 20 when I wrote those songs, or maybe I just turned 20. But what I'm really singing about is the reality that even within us, that we are normal. Like there's a normality that kind of creeps up. The things that you think that you've removed yourself from or that you've excised from yourself actually still exist. And these are things that are psychological or egotistical or whatever, things that you like to feel like you've gotten past, but then you realize they're still with you. And so, yeah, it followed me, That's, is it that the thing that you thought you were getting away from actually has come right with you? Initially, when we first started with two guitars, it felt a little sloppy because Lyle Pressler is such a genius guitar player and he's so tight. I think Lyle is an underappreciated guitar player. He played full 6-string bar chords with such precision and his tone was always great. Like he just really played and his rhythms were so cool. Brian is a slightly, at the time, he was a looser guitar player, so it took a little bit of getting used to the songs not being quite as razor sharp as they were before. They were really, like, we were playing super tight. But then, once we figured it out, it was good. And there was also some things we could do with two guitars that we hadn't been able to do with one guitar, obviously, because there's sort of counterpoint things. But also, everyone was just improving, on their instruments, evolving, by leaps and bounds. And we practiced a lot and we worked hard on our songs. And the new songs, the first record, the 8-song 7-inch, I had a hand in writing everything. Probably half of the songs I wrote by myself. I wrote Straight Edge and Minor Threat and Small Man Big Mouth. I mean, obviously people had input, but they're pretty much I wrote by myself. And then Lyle and Brian had, they wrote some music and I sang on it. Or in the case of Seeing Red, I wrote the music and Jeff wrote the lyrics. But when we got to Minor Threat 2.0 or whatever, like this, when we reformed and these new songs, no one can actually remember who wrote the songs, but I definitely did not write all that music. I may have written some parts of Little Friend, maybe. I don't know. No reason. I think that was Lyle Pressler. I think pretty sure Lyle wrote that stuff. There are parts I know I wrote, like certain elements that I knew I wrote, but it's funny. We've talked about it, the four of us, and no one can actually remember who wrote what. It all becomes it just exists, and no one can remember who wrote it. I do think that Lyle and Brian wrote most of that those riffs. And then the band, we all arranged together. That was just the way we worked. On the practice tapes I have, you can hear the kind of, even by the summer of 81, we're working on In My Eyes, I have tapes where you can just hear us just discussing, like, well, maybe we could, like, from this point, like right here, we'll just like stop there and go right into this section, or maybe we can, stop there and then have like a kind of like a, a drum roll. We'd have all these ideas. So it was something that I think we had a pretty good grasp on arrangement, and we were challenged. Also, I think thrilled to push sounds together and have them come out sounding so incredible. The songs are cool.
I thought I'd outrun it. When I crossed the tracks, I thought I had gotten away, but it got me another. It's moving, it's moving, it's moving, it's moving.
The creep, the disc follows no matter what. So at the very end of the song, I would, whistle. Yeah, so that perhaps was me trying to illustrate the idea of the kind of safe walk down the street that I thought I was having until something came up and tapped me on the back.